My name is Marizanda and I'm going to discuss the following. The first thing that I'm going to discuss is the reading definition. Reading is a necessary skill that should be developed at a young age. It is also known as an essential way for helping to convey and find information. It was stated that one of the most powerful ways to receive information, stories, and ideas is through reading. Let us look at the main methods of teaching reading in the foundation phase, namely the bottom-up and the top-down approach. The first that I'm going to discuss is the bottom-up approach. The behaviorist mean when children learn through modeling and imitation. The behaviorist view of reading is also known as the bottom-up approach. It is a process where reading moves from parts to a whole. When I teach reading by using this method, I will begin by instructing the learners to learn the letter or the word. Further, the understanding of the word, and thirdly, understanding the sentence, and lastly, understanding the whole. The following that I'm going to discuss is the top-down approach. 3. Meaning giving means when the learners make use of the environment and their knowledge of the language to make sense of what is read. The meaning giving view is also known as the top-down approach. It is a process where reading goes from a whole to the parts. When I teach a reading by using the approach, learners will begin with the comprehension or meaning of the text. Then the learners interpret the letter and the word. Thirdly, the learners will recognize the words and the letters. And lastly, they will focus on phonetics or the letter of the word. The following that I'm going to discuss is the difference between the top-down and the bottom-up approach. 3. The bottom-up approach is also known as the skill acquirement theory, and the top-down approach is also known as the meaning-giving theory. The skills acquirement theory is when reading is a combination of detailed skills. The meaning-giving theory, reading is global. All of the skills are implemented simultaneously to make sense of the written word. The skills acquirement theory is a text that is driven. The page brings more information to the reader than the reader brings to the text. The meaning-giving theory is comprehension-driven. The reader brings prior knowledge to the text. He or she makes predictions and questions to the text. The skill requirement theory, the reader must read the mechanical and technical aspects of written language before attention can be paid to comprehension and understanding. The meaning-giving theory. Meaning is most important and form the foundation of reading. Now I'm going to discuss the balance approach. It is important to understand that the balance approach is not a reading method, but an orientation which represents a general literacy teaching and the reading. The learner progress and needs to determine the reading strategies and methods. This approach is also known as a decision-making approach, which enables the teacher to reflect on what he or she is doing and modify the instructions on a daily basis depending on the learner's needs. It makes use of the following aspects of reading: reading out loud, independent reading, shared reading, paired reading, and guided reading. Now I'm going to discuss an example of a balanced approach. An example of the balanced approach is when teachers use the bottom-up approach and the top-down approach together. The teacher must focus on the needs of the learners to determine which approach she or he will use. When using the bottom-up approach, the teacher goes from the parts to the whole, and when the teacher uses the top-down approach, the teachers go from the whole to the part. Usually by using the bottom-up approach is when the word is easily, like for example, rat. This word is an example of an easy word which a learner will not struggle to learn. The top-down approach is usually used when the word is too difficult for the learner to learn with the bottom-up approach, which means that the teacher will use the top-down approach. An example of a word can be used as elephant. It depends on the teacher to know the needs of the learners to know when to use the bottom-up approach and when to use the top-down approach. To conclude, the main categories to use for teaching reading comprehension in the foundation phase is the part-to-whole approach and the whole-to-parts approach. The balanced approach was also discussed, which makes use of reading aspects. Further, it's clear that by developing reading, the learners will be able to convey and find information. Thank you for listening to me. Have a nice day.